All right. Welcome
Okay.
everyone. It looks like people are still joining us. So,
Margaret, I see a thing that says not broadcasting in my the green bar.
oh, mine looks fine. Of course.
Okay.
Um, well, let me go here. Um, could I would like just some confirmation that you can see both Mary and I. Uh, could someone put that in the chat for me?
Oh, thumbs
Oh,
up.
got
Thank you
it.
so
Okay, that
much.
works too.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you all. Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, I see a weird message on my screen that says we're not broadcasting, but I'm going to ignore that since you all say that we are. So we will go ahead and get started. Thanks for your patience. We're always worried about the tech issues with these sorts of things, but it looks like we're good to go. So, hello to everyone that's here and welcome to the information session for the 2026 Great Lakes Summer Fellows Program, which is offered through a partnership between the Cooperative Institute for Great Lakes Research, known as SIGLR, and at the University of Michigan, and the NOAA Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA's Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory, which is known as GLERL. So we have lots of acronyms, but SIGLR and GLERL are really the ones that you'll hear the most in this info session today. So thank you so much to all of you who are here for showing interest in the Great Lakes Summer Fellows Program and for attending today's session. We're really excited to tell you about the program, explain the application process, and we'll also throw in some tips and tricks that will help you with a successful application. When we're finished presenting, we'll visit the SIGLR website together to show you where to find the information we're presenting and the application form. We have plenty of time built into the session today to answer all of your questions. So as we're going along, please feel free to enter your questions as they come to you in the Q&A box while we're presenting. We'll either, depending on the nature of the question, we'll either pause to answer it as we go, or we'll address those questions at the end. So enter them as they come to you, and we will get to you. Also, I wanted to add that we are recording this session and we will be making the link to the recording available on the student opportunities section of the SIGLR website soon after the session ends. So please feel free to visit that link, revisit any parts of the presentation that you may want to hear again. And also please feel free to share the link with any of your friends that might be interested also in applying for the program, but weren't able to attend. Okay, so we're going to start with some quick introductions by your presenters. We are also the primary administrative contacts for the program. So I am Mary Ogdahl, and I'm the managing director of SIGLR. I oversee the summer fellowship program, and I also coordinate with the mentors of the program and our hosts at NOAA GLERL. I also maintain communication with the fellows throughout the program by holding bi-weekly one-on-one meetings with each of the fellows. Now I'll turn it over to Margaret to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Margaret Throckmorton. I am the Administrative Program Coordinator for SIGLR. And what I do is I manage the fellowship program logistics. So the application, making sure they're all bundled together, all the way through to managing the stipends and the final presentations. I am the primary contact for any questions regarding the application. But I will also be organizing activities throughout the program as well as making sure that we're in communication with you all. So see a lot of emails from me in the program.
Yep. Margaret would be a very familiar person to all of you. So, okay, so moving on, I'm going to start off by giving you a little background on SIGLR and GLERL to give you a sense of where you would be working if you do join the program. So Sigler is one of 16 NOAA-funded cooperative institutes across the country, which together represent 70 universities and research institutions across 28 states. So we've got broad coverage across the US. Many of the cooperative institutes are embedded with NOAA research labs, just as Sigler is with NOAA GLERL. But each of the cooperative institutes has a unique research focus that is related to NOAA's mission and needs. Ours, of course, is on the Great Lakes. The first NOAA Great Lakes Cooperative Institute was awarded to the University of Michigan in 1989, and that was the beginning of what has become a long-standing partnership between the University of Michigan and NOAA GLERL. And as you can see on the map, we at Sigler and GLERL are located in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is conveniently located right in the heart of the Great Lakes region. Sigler has a home in 2 locations. So our administrative home is at the University of Michigan within the School for Environment and Sustainability. And the acronym for that school is called SEAS. And that's on the University of Michigan's main campus in Ann Arbor. So you can see that picture there on the left. But our physical location at Sigler and where we do most of our day-to-day work is at NOAA GLERL. And here we're part of a blended scientific workforce. So as summer fellows, when they come here to work, they join our dynamic group of multidisciplinary researchers in a very collaborative working environment. And that's nearly evenly composed of academic and federal scientists. So it's a really unique place to work and a really engaging environment where you get a little bit of the best of both worlds between academic and federal research. Sigler's research falls within 4 main research themes that are complementary to NOAA's mission in the Great Lakes. Each of the summer fellowship positions relates directly to one of these research themes and contributes to ongoing research at Sigler and GLERL. So these research themes include observing systems in advanced technology, invasive species and food web ecology, hydrometeorological and ecosystem forecasting, and protection and restoration of resources. So another key element of Sigler's work, in addition to our research, is our ECO program. And this is really complementary to our research, and it is the way that we put our research into action in Sigler. And specifically, it's the way we connect our science to society. So the components of our ECO program are engagement, where we work directly with stakeholders, research managers, elected officials, and others to develop the tools and information they need to make informed decisions that protect and restore the Great Lakes. The C stands for career training, where we provide research training and opportunities to students and postdocs who will become the future scientific stewards of the Great Lakes. And last, the O stands for outreach, where we communicate our research and educate the public about the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes Summer Fellows Program is one of the primary means by which we fulfill our career training mission within the ECO program. We do have other fellowships and training programs for students and postdocs, but this program is really the cornerstone for how we're building and training the next generation of NOAA and Great Lakes scientists. So now I will hand it over to Margaret to give details about the program itself. Go ahead, Margaret.
All right, so in the next few slides, I am going to be going over some highlights about the program. If we, oh, okay, sorry, hold on. Okay. That was more difficult than it should have been. I apologize. Oh, and we skipped a slide too. Thank you, Mary. We have been training, we have trained 378 students since 1988. We are funded by NOAA GLERL, as Mary has shared a little bit about our relationship. The program goals are train the next generation of Great Lakes and NOAA scientists, as well as improve participation in Great Lakes research and STEM training. We are fairly small research community, so we always want some new minds to come in and give us some more ideas. This year we have 4 fellowship positions, and as it is, a 12-week program from May 26th to August 15th with 40 hours per week. This year there will be one paid holiday, which will be July 4th, since we are starting the day after Memorial Day. And I've lost my. I don't. Mary, you're gonna have to advance the slide. I'm sorry, it's not working anymore. All right, so activities. We schedule a bunch of activities for the fellowship cohort each summer. These are meant to build both your professional and interpersonal skills and knowledge. We found that a large part of enriching the fellows' experience in the program comes from building community, both within the cohort as well as within the lab. We really want the fellows to experience working with the researchers, both from NOAA, GLERL, and Sigler. We do take into account preferences and abilities of the fellows when planning all of our program activities. We make sure we reach out and check in and see what everyone would like to learn the most. But these activities include mandatory career and professional development seminars. They can cover topics such as applying to government positions, networking, resume, and cover letters, technical skill development like Python or R courses. It really depends on who's joining us during the summer. But additionally, you will work with Sigler's communication specialists to build science communication skills. So you can tell people what you're doing and they'll understand you, which is always wonderful. The science seminars, in these you'll learn more about the amazing science being done at GLERL and Sigler directly from primary investigators and researchers on site. Social activities are something we also help coordinate. In the past, this included activities such as an escape room, kayaking, lab picnics, and more. Traditionally, fellows have organized their own camping trip as well, up usually to the Sleeping Bear Dunes area, which is really a marvel to just experience if any of you aren't from Michigan. But traditionally, many of these activities, especially the social activities, are for the in-person fellows. But we do try to include any virtual fellows in activities that we can. A lot of the professional development and science seminars can be virtual or hybrid, as it were. There are a few that we have done in the past that involve hands-on learning, such as taking a cruise on Lake Michigan in one of our research vessels. We also have gone out to Muskegon and done tours of the labs out there, our Lake Michigan Field Station, as well as the Annis Water Institute. I've forgotten a few of those names of a few parts of the name. Summary, they're part of Grand Valley State University. But yeah, so it's a wide variety, and we try to make it interesting and relevant for everyone, as I have said. And then a format. So we have 4 projects, as I said, 2 of which can be hybrid, and there's 2 that are going to be in person. But each project has different requirements. So the 2 in-person projects are going to be very heavily lab-based and will need to have your hands on samples. The 2 ones that could be in-person, remote, or hybrid, those are a little bit more modeling based, so computer work. We do highly recommend the in-person experience. As I said before, there are activities that cannot be hybrid, which are such a big part of the program. If you do need to work remotely or in a hybrid manner, this can be discussed, but these options depend on the project activities. As I said, each project has different requirements. So please read the descriptions carefully to determine what requirements each project might have. Additionally, we encourage you to discuss your format preferences in the interview stage with the mentors so that everyone's on the same page. if you are in person. Housing and transportation. Upon acceptance of the program, we will reach out to all of the accepted fellows to determine needs for these two items, as well as provide advice and assistance as needed. Usually, housing is pretty easy to find since it's during the summer, and a lot of the University of Michigan students do leave for the summer, but they have year-long leases, so there's a lot of sublet opportunities. And so we can provide resources where to find these, but we can also help with local transportation to and from work. As a reminder, each fellow is responsible for securing and paying for their own housing, which is why the stipend is the amount it is, and housing costs were figured into that stipend. Yeah. Traditionally, it's pretty easy to find housing for fellows. We do encourage accepted fellows to go in together on housing to help with expenses and build community. And we will connect the fellows before the program so that they have the opportunity to do that. All right, so more about the stipend. It is $10,000 paid over 4 dates. These dates are approximate. We haven't talked because I believe one of those dates is a Saturday, and we're not sure if the university can pay on a Saturday, so it might be the Friday before, which would be 31st. But it starts before the programming so that you could do a pay the application fees and down payment for the not down payment, but so you can reserve your housing. It's meant to cover the living expenses during the program, so housing as well as food. And to receive the stipend, you must participate in the full 12 weeks of the program, working 40 hours a week and attending program events. If you're unable to complete the program, the stipend funds must be returned to the university. But if you do have to, travel, or if there's a reason you have to miss a couple days, you can talk with your mentor and Mary to get that approved and make sure you make up the time later. This travel stipend can be used towards expenses to and from Ann Arbor for those working with us in person. Virtual fellows are able to use the stipend to visit Ann Arbor and work in person with their project teams one or more times during the summer. We have had fellows use that to travel to Michigan to join us to go out to Muskegon before, and that's a valid use of those funds. Okay. The final presentation. So it's 15 minutes and there will be time for questions, and it is required of each fellow to complete at the end of the program. Typically, this is done during the last week, the last day or two usually. This is in person at GLERL with an option for a virtual attendance for family and friends. We have adjusted the presentation format in the past depending on the makeup of the year's cohort. And you can view these presentations from the past few years, no more than few years, online or on the alumni page, which I believe Mary will be showing us at the end of the presentation. Eligibility. To be eligible for the program, you must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. This is no matter if you are in person or a virtual fellow. You must be one of the following: currently enrolled college level junior or senior as of fall 2026, a master's or PhD student, or if you can demonstrate in your cover letter that the fellowship fits in with your career and academic goals. And for that option, you must have graduated in the past 12 months of the fellowship. For example, May 2025 or after. And as a note, immediate relatives of any Sigler or NOAA GLERL employee are not eligible due to NOAA guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
back to
so
Mary.
back over to me. Yes, thank you so much for all of that, Margaret. So in the next several slides, I will review the application process in detail. And again, just as a reminder, at any time, feel free to enter a question and we'll be sure to get that answered for you. All right, so I'll be going over the various sections of the online application and discuss the documents that you'll need to prepare and upload. These include a cover letter, resume, an unofficial transcript, essay, and a letter of recommendation. So starting with the online application, this begins with two sections that collect general information about you. In addition to standard things like your name, address, email, and so forth, which are in section 1, section 2 asks for demographic information on your gender identity, race or ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. This information on demographics is completely optional, but this information is very helpful for us to help us determine the effectiveness of our recruitment. Like, are we reaching the students that we hope to reach with our advertising? And it also helps us to, to make sure that we are, like I said, reaching a diverse audience of applicants. We also, sorry, I lost in my notes clearly. So anyway, all of that information, again, is completely optional. And that will be separated from your application before it's reviewed. So it's really just for our information purposes. In section 3 of the online application, you'll be asked to select the projects in which you are interested. As Margaret said earlier, we have 4 projects available this year. Each has online a project description that includes project activities. It includes the required skills and location information, including whether remote or hybrid is an option. On the application, you are able to select up to 3 projects in ranked order from your first to your third choice. Now, selecting more than one project is optional, but we do highly recommend that you select at least 2 projects that interest you to increase your chances of being selected for an interview. I would say it's pretty rare that students are placed into their third choice project, but it's pretty common that students or fellows will be placed into their second choice. So that's kind of for your information. Again, we do highly recommend 2. Margaret, is there a question we should address now?
I was going to hold it to the end.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't get a chance to see it before it disappeared from my screen. So thanks. Okay. So again, as Margaret was saying earlier, please make sure you review the position descriptions carefully, including the required skills when you're making your project selections. You are free to contact the lead mentor for each project with questions that are specific to the project, and their email address is included in the description. And they're happy to answer project-specific questions from potential applicants. I don't know if that showed up for you all, but I'm having pop-ups here on my screen. Okay. In section 4 of the online application, this is where you'll upload your application materials. We ask that you upload them as a single document. We can't accept multiple document uploads, so you will need to prepare your documents and then combine them into a single PDF or Word document for upload. So you'll be combining 4 or 5 documents, and that depends on what you do with your letter of recommendation. So you'll be combining your cover letter, your resume or CV, your unofficial transcript, your essay, and perhaps your letter of recommendation. So with regard to that letter of recommendation, you can either obtain the letter from your letter writer and include it in your application, or you can have the letter writer you can ask them to send it to us directly. So sometimes letter writers prefer that they submit it directly to wherever you're applying. Others don't mind sending it to the applicant. So that's between you and your letter writer, how you want to handle that. Either way is completely fine with us. But please note that we do require that all of your application materials reach us by the deadline. So you need to build in time and let your letter writer know when that deadline is so that we receive their letter by the application deadline. And letters that will include information. It's online about how to direct the letters that are sent to us directly. But in short, those go via email to Margaret. And let's see. So if you are asking your letter writer to send it to us directly, please be sure to give them Margaret's email address. That's a very key piece of information for them to have. Another point that I'd like to emphasize here is the importance of uploading an unofficial copy of your transcript. If you only have a digital official copy, you might want to print that and scan or take a picture of it in order to upload it. That's some ways to kind of work around the official versus unofficial copies of the transcript issue. So the reason why we ask for unofficial transcripts is one, official transcripts typically cost you money, and we don't want this to cost you any money to apply. But also they're often encrypted or password protected, and it makes it really hard or sometimes impossible for us to work with that document. So please, unofficial transcripts only, or scanned or photographed images. So last for this slide, in terms of combining your files into one document. So Adobe Acrobat is the easiest method to do this. If you don't have access to Adobe Acrobat, there are some third-party free websites that can help you do this. We have a link in the FAQ section of our website to some options for kind of third-party free websites that can do this for you, and I'll make sure to point that out to you when we get to the website demonstration. So here we'd like to offer some insider tips to help you prepare your application materials and, like I said before, hopefully increase your chances of a successful application. So first tip is on your cover letters. These should be tailored to the project or projects that you're selecting and highlight your skills and experience that are relevant to those projects. Now, I realize this can be challenging if you're ranking, 3 projects, but really focus at least on your top choice. And maybe if you have room in your cover letter to also highlight points from highlight skills and experience that are relevant to your second choice as well. Also in your cover letter, it's a good idea to take some of the information from your essay to explain what makes you a great and unique candidate for the position and for the fellowship program in general. So some of these points might include why the fellowship would be meaningful to you and what unique perspectives you would bring to the program if you were accepted. Also, as Margaret explained, if you're an applicant who graduated in 2025, you should explain in your cover letter how the program fits with your career or academic goals. So one question that we get a lot about cover letters is to whom you should address your letter, especially because you've got multiple mentors, and then there's me and Margaret, and so students are like, well, how does this work? In short, there are a lot of options, and there's no wrong way to address a cover letter. So please don't sweat this, but if it helps you, some options are to address it to the lead mentor for your first choice project. You can do more generic salutation or greetings, such as mentor team, hiring team, review team, or something like that. Alternately, it's perfectly acceptable to address the letter to me, Mary Ogdahl. Any of those are fine, but again, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to get dinged for how you address your cover letter. Okay, so similar to your cover letter, your resume should also be tailored to the project or projects you're selected and highlight your relevant experience and skills. So as much as you can tailor your application materials, the better it will make it in the review process. In terms of your essay that you need to prepare, we suggest you really spend some time thinking about what makes you a unique applicant. We're not necessarily looking for your major accomplishments. Instead, we're interested to hear about your experiences or identities that have shaped you into who you are today. These could be personal, professional, or academic. There's really no boundaries on what form this might take. So you might want to think about answering some of these questions in your essay. How would you add richness or perspectives or new perspectives to the student cohort? And what would the fellowship mean to you if you were accepted to the program? So those are just a couple ideas to get you started thinking. You might also be able to find more information online about essay writing as well. There's lots of resources available to you. So moving on to the final section of the application, here you will be asked to provide names and contact information for 2 references whom we may contact regarding your qualifications. These references could be professors, mentors, supervisors, or anyone that you feel would best represent you and your experience, your potential, and your aspirations. The only restriction here is that it can't be a family member. And the last requirement we have is that one of the references you provide should be the person you asked to write your letter of recommendation. So you really need 2 people, one person that you can list as reference and write a letter, and then a second person that we can just contact and ask questions. Okay, so we are going to go next into the application review and candidate selection, but I'm going to pause and ask Margaret if there are any questions that we should answer at this time, because I've been seeing some activity.
So yeah, there were a couple questions that I answered in the Q&A, but the first question we have that I'd like to answer live is, will applications from students who graduated in May of 2024 and who have applied to graduate programs for August 2026 be considered if they demonstrate a strong enough connection between this program and their career and or academic goals?
So I would say yes. So it's a little outside of that 1 year, but we would consider an applicant that is planning on going into a graduate program in fall of 2026 that is related to Sigler's mission and goals, or related to the projects that you're interested in and applying to, if that makes sense. I hope I answered that, but please enter a follow-up question if that didn't answer it. But yes, we would consider you eligible.
We just got another one.
Yep.
It's if I plan to attend a conference for past research in June, will I be able to get time off during the work week?
So as Margaret said, we do have some flexibility with students needing to have time off for various things over the course of the fellowship. That is a conversation that you would have with your mentor and with myself. It first and foremost needs to be okay with your mentors, and that you be able to keep up with your research and maintain communication with them. We do ask in that situation, you would likely be working toward making up that time over the course of the 12-week fellowship. And so that can be spread out. It doesn't have to be, super long days, but we'll work with you to figure out a plan for making up that time so you're still fulfilling all the program requirements. So that it shouldn't be an issue.
And this is about references. So this question, they had a career before returning to school, and our references from I'm going to reword this a little bit. They were wondering what the hiring team would prefer to see in terms of references, academia or professional references.
Really, it's really up to you who you feel like can best speak to your skills and experiences that align best with the project requirements. So I wouldn't say that a professional reference or an academic reference, one of the two would be just on its face viewed differently. It's really who knows you the best and can speak best to your skills and who you are and how you would fit best with the program.
All right. It looks like
Okay,
we're
so
good for now. Oh,
okay. I think
uh,
there's more.
I can
Oh, yeah,
so yeah, I can do
good
this one.
question.
So we have had both actually. We've had people who were unable to attend, had planned to attend in person for the final presentations, but had things come up at the last minute where they couldn't. And we've also had this past year, actually, this past summer, we had someone who ended up finishing their project virtually because they started a program in Australia, so they could not attend in person. So we have had uh, fellows present virtually. We really strongly prefer that everyone be in person, though.
We're we're really flexible with to the greatest extent possible. You know, we want this experience to work for you. Um, and we do everything we can to enable your full participation within within certain bounds. Yes, we do everything we can. So, okay, so seeing no more questions right now, thank you so much for sending those in. Please keep them coming. I will next talk a little bit about the process for application review and candidate selection. Okay, so once the application period is closed, mentor teams for each project are given the applications for everyone who selected their project as their first, second, or third choice. The mentor teams will review the applications and select a minimum of 3 applicants to interview. The mentors will reach out via email to the email address that you provide on your application. So that's a really key point. Make sure that you enter a good email address in your application because that's where all the program communications will be directed. So they'll contact you at that email address to invite you to an interview, and we conduct all of the interviews for the program by video conference. Okay, last, we have just a few timeline points to highlight regarding the application and selection process. So applications and letters of recommendation, remember those all need to make it by the deadline. These are due on Sunday, February 8th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. After that time, we will be shutting down the application system and we will not be able to accept any further applications. So please make sure you're cognizant of that deadline and the time zone. Don't get messed up by time zones. Okay, so for interviews and decisions, we expect that interviews will be conducted between February 17th and March 6th, just depending on the mentor team's schedule. And that fellowship offers will be made between March 13th and March 16th. We will be notifying all applicants of their status by March 21st. However, we can say that if you haven't heard from us by March 6th, which is the end of that expected interview window, it's pretty unlikely that you're being considered for a fellowship position this time around. So I know the waiting can be very hard. We're also aware that most of you or many of you will be applying for other programs, and those other programs, you know, might be waiting to hear back from everyone before making your decision about how you're choosing to spend your summer. So we're aware of all of that. And that's why we provide this little bit of steps along the way so you understand where we might be in the process. You can kind of compare that to the other programs you're thinking about so you can align your decision time frame. And we are always happy to, if you apply and you've forgotten this part about what were those dates they said, please do feel free to reach out. We can give you an idea of where we are in the process, especially if you need to make a decision about another opportunity. Please reach out to us because we are happy to help. Okay, so next I am going to go into a demonstration of the fellowship website, show you where to find the application and all of the answers to frequently asked questions that we have. I don't see any new questions in the Q&A box, so I will go ahead and go right into that. And again, please, if I'm going too fast or if there's something you want me to go back to, just throw that up in the chat and I'm happy to do that. Okay, let's see. I need to move some stuff around here on my screen. Oops, back. Okay. So, Margaret, just so you know, I'm going to close my Q&A box because it's, well, maybe not. I think I can just move this. Okay. Margaret, can you confirm you're able to see the website as,
Oh, we're looking at the slides right now.
oh, what about now? Is that my desktop?
No. Did you, did your computer? I still see the slides.
No,
Uh,
okay. It
okay.
wasn't working as I expected. Now, do you see the slides or the, oh, yeah, you do see the slides. I can tell. All right, sorry, everybody. You know, we practice these things to try to make sure it'll work, and then things always are different in real time. So here we go. I'm going to do this differently. Just bear with me, please. All righty. This should be better. Hopefully. Is that better, Margaret?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, here we go. Thank you for confirming. Alrighty, so this page here, our student opportunities page, is the main landing site for the summer fellowship program. So you can see this is, if you go to the main Sigler website, you could just Google Sigler, CIGLR will be the top result there. And to navigate to this page, you go to Join Us here along the upper right, and then Student Opportunities takes you to this page. Here on the Student Opportunities page, you can read a brief description about the program. This is where we will put the link to today's info session. It will be on this page. So if you need to find it or if you want to share it with somebody, this is where you'll go. Also on this page, I'm going to come back to the information about the program. We're going to dive into that, but I just want to give you a sense for what else is here. There's also a link. This icon here for FAQs is a link to our FAQ page, which I will take you to. The sunshine icon is a link to the Summer Fellows alumni information, including their past presentations. So we do recommend, especially if you want to get a sense for what the student experience is like, the kinds of research they did and what their role was in it. So say maybe one of the projects looks similar to something someone has done in the past, you really might want to check out their presentation video. They're 10 minutes long, plus maybe some question and answer at the end. So they're not really long to watch, but it gives you a really good sense of what the student experience is like. And then you can click on this link to see the current cohort, to see the students actually from last year. That will be updated with the 2026 fellows as soon as they're selected. Also on this page is a video that talks about the program and I think features some of the students. And so that's also a cool thing to check out to give you a better sense of what the program is like. All right, so next I'm going to jump into the other pages. Specifically, we'll start with the 2026 program information. So I'll click here. And on this page, it gives you a lot of information about the program. So you can see you can access the online application here. That's the Apply Now button. But beyond that, we have the program description, including the stipend amounts, the beginning and end dates of the program, the stipend payment dates, just lots of information about where the work will take place, etc. We have the eligibility information that Margaret went over on this page, so that's easy to access. Other requirements, including a 15-minute presentation at the end, which we've also talked about. And also a reminder that fellows pay the cost of housing out of the stipend that they receive. And then it has the details on the application process, the components of the application, and the due date. The due date, but then also the notification date, which is March 21st, that people will be informed. And then another link to the FAQ page. So going back from there, we will visit the application too. So the other thing to really highlight here is the position descriptions. So that's this link here, 2026 position descriptions. So here's where you'll come to read about the 4 projects that we're offering this summer. These drop downs on the right are where you'll find the project description. Each one has a research question that you'll be addressing in that project, a description of the project activities, and the required skills that we're looking for. Last, this is where you'll see the information about whether the project is eligible for in-person only participation or if we'll accept remote or hybrid work. So that's under the location. So project 1, for example, says it's open to work in Ann Arbor at the Noah Glural, remote or hybrid. Whereas, I'm going to collapse this down. Whereas if we go to project 4, this one is really lab-based and maybe some field work, but I think this one is primarily lab-based. And because of that, this one is in-person only. So you can see that under the location information. And again, I'll point out here that the mentors for each project are listed right under the title. And the lead mentor is the one that's listed first and has the email address. So if you have questions about the required skills, the activities for the student of each project or in a particular project, the mentor that has their email address, that's who we recommend that you contact. If you ever are unsure, it's always safe to contact me or Margaret, but please do feel free to reach out to the lead mentor directly. They do anticipate getting those kinds of questions, so feel free to do that. All right, I'm going to go back to the student opportunities page. And now I would like to show you how to get to the application. So I'm going to go back to program information and I'm going to click the Apply Now button. And this brings up a Qualtrics form. And I'm not going to start filling this out live unless Margaret nods her head and tells me that I should. But my plan was just to go here and show you where it is. So obviously you start by entering your first and last name, and then you'll just click next page and it'll lead you through all of the information that you need to enter, including selecting your project choices, uploading your combined application material files, all of that. So that's where that is. And last, some of the other information here that will help you along the way, first and foremost, is our FAQ page. And we have this organized into different categories of the questions you might have. So, one of the questions well, first of all, I'll say all the questions on here are questions that we get a lot. So if you're going along and thinking about your application and questions come to mind, please come here first and see if the question's already been answered. A lot of times you're going to find that it is. If not, please contact us. That's totally fine. We love hearing from you and helping you. But a lot of questions are already here. So this is kind of the definitely we mean it when it's frequently asked questions. So for example, I have already graduated from my degree program. Am I eligible? So here's where you would find what we've talked about if you've graduated in May 2025 or after, etc. So that's all there. But again, like we had a unique situation come up in the Q&A. That's the kind of thing, please email us and ask that kind of question. We do have flexibility with some of these things. So, and we will tell you if we don't. One of the things I said that I would make sure to point out here is we do have some guidance of how do I combine all of the required files into a single document. So under this drop down, we point to a web page that gives a summary of some options that you might want to try if you're having a hard time combining those files. And if you really come to a dead end after dead end, again, please reach out to us. We can probably help you. Okay, so those are the FAQs that we have. And again, we encourage you to check out information about the past fellows. Again, there's a couple videos here you can watch. I'm just going to go to 2023, and this page will show us when it loads. Sometimes this takes a minute because there are a bunch of videos there. At least I think that's why. Okay. That's taking an unacceptably long time. So I'll try a different year, but if this doesn't load, we might be having issues with our server here. So I will take you instead. Maybe this will work. So I'm going to go back out of here. That's fun. It's frozen now. Okay, well, that's neat. All right, so oh, good. Finally decided to open up. So this is our 2024 cohort of summer fellows, and you can see that they're all pictured here, their affiliation, so where they were attending school at the time. They're probably not there anymore, or maybe they are. But regardless, you can find a link to their final presentation. And then most of them also have a fellow feature video. So this is part of their science communication training that they did with us. So they worked with our communication specialist to create a video where they talk about their experience in the program, talk about what they learned, their favorite parts of the program. So those are also really cool to watch too. Not only do you get to learn a lot about the program, but you also get to see some of our training in action where they're learning how to communicate about their projects in a way that is understandable. Okay, so I think I'm glad that worked for us. And then the current cohort looks a lot like what we just saw, has all their pictures, so I'm not going to go into that page. So that is what I had for the website demo. I'm going to come back over to the presentation, I think, with any luck. And there. Okay, so that is what we have for you all today. And we welcome any last questions that you would like to ask.
We do have one that I would
Okay.
definitely like to answer. It's, are applicants allowed to submit additional supporting documents from past academic research? Technically, you can. We do not recommend it. The mentors will be reviewing a ton of applications, and it's entirely possible they would not look at any additional documents. It adds more time to the review process, which delays everything a little bit further. And if everyone has additional documents, it's going to be really hard for the mentors to go and review everyone in depth as much as they'd like to. You can mention these in your cover letter or if it's relevant in your essay, but I would not add any additional documents other than what we asked for. And then what qualifies for someone to be a hybrid or remote? Like I sort of mentioned earlier, this is definitely a conversation between you and the mentors. We don't have any hard or fast rules for that. It's individual circumstances, what the project needs, and yeah, just life, I guess. I would like to say something that I just realized I did not add to the presentation this year. Because we have noticed it in the past. For recommendation letters, we do not reach out to your references that you list asking for your recommendation letter. We don't send them any special link. if they are submitting it, they will need to submit it themselves to me. So make sure that you remind the person who is sending in your recommendation letter that they need to do it without prompting, please.
And a reminder to them is a really good idea. Um, we experience every year that there are wires crossed, and a lot of times you're asking one of your professors to write a letter, and it tends to, we've seen it fall through the cracks where they forget or they think they sent it and they didn't send it. So just checking in with them is always a good practice to sending a little reminder, a little nudge as you're getting close to the deadline, just to make sure that they've gotten that done. It'll help save us time. I also will say that we we will we do reach out. So if your application comes in, so if we look through your combined document and you're missing some elements, we give applicants the benefit of the doubt, and we will reach out to you and let you know that something was missing. Ask, say, was this a mistake? Would you like to send us your documents before it goes under review so that you have a complete package? If applications are missing a letter of recommendation or another component, they will still get reviewed with the content that they have, along with the rest of the applications. We've seen fellows be selected that were missing application contents. They were asked to interview, and anything that the mentors needed to know that was missing is still there. So again, I guess I'm just trying to express a little bit of what I said earlier, is that we want you all to succeed and have successful applications. So we will do what we can to help you. But we also ask that you do your part too, to try to make sure everything's there, but we understand things happen. So we are here to help. Question in the Q&A, will the presentation be made available after the meeting? So yes, we are recording. And as soon as possible after the meeting, we will be posting the link to the student opportunities page that I was just showing you, kind of that main landing page for the program.
Yeah. Any other questions? We have 2 more minutes.
Okay, well, I recommend, if you haven't yet, just jotting down my email address and Margaret's so that you have them handy. You can also find us on the Sigler website very easily. So please do reach out if anything else comes up. Again, we're here to help you, and we're happy to do that. So, and thank you so much for coming today and for showing interest in the program. Thank you in advance for spreading the word to any of your friends or classmates that might be interested in the program as well. We really look forward to seeing your applications. Bye-bye.
Bye.